Thank you so much for watching one of my interviews here on my show, William Wallace for America. With me today is Louisiana State Senator Caleb Kleinpeter. Senator Kleinpeter, thank you so much for being on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, there's my phone there. So, with all of our notes.
Yeah.
Well, we got it. So, there's a lot of things happening in the Louisiana legislature that we see on a national level. But what I like is that there's a lot of people that are instead just focusing on local bills and things here locally. Right. It looks like some of your legislation is doing just that.
They are. Few of them are dear to my heart. My first one that I filed was SCR 8. That's the high-speed pursuit policy that gained a lot of attention.
Yes, it creates task force on safety for law enforcement officers involved in high-speed vehicle pursuits. What's that one about?
So we're seeing more and more high-speed pursuits, but this one particularly, there was a high-speed pursuit that involved law enforcement that 2 young teenagers actually got killed on the west side of the river. I knew both of them, so the family members sat down with me and asked if there's anything that we can do. I didn't want to have a knee-jerk reaction and create a bill. I wanted to create a task force for all the agencies to be able to come together, sit down, and see what we need to do. Huge law enforcement supporter. Don't want to tie their hands. I don't know if it's training. I don't know if it's increasing the penalty for aggravated flight. But after this session, I'll receive all the names from the department heads, and I believe we'll meet either July or August.
You know, when I point this out, some people might say, I've heard the comments before, like, well, you're saying that to support that, elected official for what they did, but I say this to not only support what you're doing, but to support the fact that you listened to people. You didn't just go create a law. You didn't just try to get support to create a law and pass a law. You actually have done your homework and your research to find out what's the best fit for the community to make improvements, and you worked with law enforcement to find a way to tie it together. And I appreciate when legislators do that.
I appreciate it. Another one was
HB 94, which adds certain substances to the Uniform Controlled Dangerous Substance List.
So that was the kratom. We have parishes that are banning kratom throughout this state. It's a drug that's catching people's attention. And in my committee, I was going to ban it. We had a lot of testimony from people that used it saying, hey, look, it helped us get off of opioids. I told them that I was willing to work with them and not ban it. So, I still want to do some research on it. But as of this year, we always talk about moving the needle in the right direction. And we have had some deaths, some overdoses from kratom on the altered drug. And if we ban it completely, if some of these users go back to using opioids, what would be the fallout? I believe that we would go backwards, go the wrong way with the needle. So we're going to regulate it. We're going to get some of this kratom tested and see if we can go in the right direction on it.
So instead of banning it, find ways to make it safer for those. Because in essence, you do want to create a free market.
Yes.
And we don't want to shut down industries that might not be that bad, but find ways to regulate it and control
make
it.
A safer product, yes.
I like that. Now, there was one on the House side, too, wasn't there?
It's going to be almost mirrored to Representative Goudeau's bill, yes.
Are those going to merge by some chance, or are they going to be two separate ones?
I don't think he has a penalty on his for people selling it for under 21. So if he were to amend his, then I guess we could go with just one bill. I wanted to keep... there's a fine if you sell it to people under 21, kind of like with cigarettes and alcohol.
Exactly. The way it should be. Thanks for that. You got SB 124 increases the penalty for driving a vehicle without a license plate attached.
So it does not increase the penalty on the first time. So I worked with Senator Barrow on this. She did not want to increase the first penalty. So we left that alone. We took the initial fee off. And what we're trying to do is, I know in West Baton Rouge and throughout the state, we have license plate readers. So I've spoken to local law enforcement, and what they said was crime has just drastically been reduced because of it. The criminals coming from across the river, and I'm not saying that Baton Rouge has all the criminals, but they go to West Baton Rouge and it's only one way in, one way out. So they see the license plate readers and they immediately turn around because it will trigger to the local law enforcement if there is a stolen vehicle or if there's a warrant out for that person's arrest. What I don't want to see happen is people start taking their license plates off to avoid the the license plate readers. So what we did was we added language in there to where if you're caught committing a crime with the license plate off, there's an increased fine, potential of getting your car impounded, and then possible jail time.
Okay, like I said, it's just finding a ways to enforce another law. You would think that driving without a license plate is already illegal.
It is.
But you're connecting the dots to the readers and the fines.
Crime is getting out of hand over here in the Baton Rouge area, and we're just trying to look at different ways to possibly help.
Through looking into it, sounds like you found a missing link that you've been able to help connect for the locals.
Right.
Good job. We got SB 187. It's for corners, provides relative to the cremation of bodies.
Right. So that's another one. My local deputy coroner reached out to me. It was funny because he reached out, and the local funeral home directors reached out and said, hey, look, we have an issue. He's not releasing the bodies for cremation. So he said he wanted the bill to change the language. What he was doing is on the current law states that if there's possible criminal activity that happened with the death of a person, you're supposed to do an autopsy and toxicology, or until the report is done, you can't release the body for cremation. You can't sign off on it. He's telling me that once he did his autopsy and once he sent off his toxicology, he is fine by signing a piece of paper to release the body to the family members for cremation. The toxicology comes 4 to 8 weeks sometimes. So he was holding on to the bodies for 4 to 8 weeks. The people didn't have the money to bury the person, so they were wanting to cremate. So this bill has actually brought a lot of light to the coroners throughout the state. I think that we're going to have to possibly discuss something with the Coroners Association. I worked with the Coroners Association on this bill, the funeral directors, and my local coroner on this. And so everybody was happy, but it did bring light that not all coroners were doing what they were supposed to be doing. So
this is kind of like creates a little highway, if you will.
Well, somebody put an article out saying that I was creating a bill that was going to allow them to not break the law, and that's not what this does. It allows my coroners, once they do the autopsy and the toxicology, to be able to release the body for cremation. I just didn't want family members having to hold on.
Yeah, having to wait to have to say their final goodbyes or anything like that. But once again, I like hearing when a legislator, or elected official in this case, when you're reaching out to the other organizations that are involved in the process, and you're not just overriding them, you're bringing people together to create good legislation.
I use that tool all the time. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I always go find the ones that are smarter than me and figure out what we need to do.
I love it. You got SCR 8, I think we talked about that, creates a task force on the safety for law enforcement officers.
Right.
Once again, that one is you were talking about that one a second ago. Do you want to highlight that one again? Because I kind of liked it.
It's got a lot of great support. The Sheriff's Association worked with me. It's a panel of 10. I have LSU data. We'll come to the table, and we'll look at everything as far as training. We'll look at, look, right now.
That's where the teenagers got killed.
The task force is gonna come together, and we're gonna look at everything. I have notes down from all the family members. I met with all the family members of the 2 girls that had passed away, and I have all their notes. I wanted to talk about what they brought up to me was there's a software app from a guy in South Carolina that they actually implementing it in different states on high-speed pursuits. If there's a high-speed chase in your area, it'll be like an Amber Alert on your phone, and to possibly get off or start looking in your mirror. That's
actually a great idea. So you've got 38 commends the Port Allen High School girls powerlifting team on winning the LHSAA 2023 Division III State Championship.
Yeah.
Congratulations, girls.
Yeah, congratulations. And then we had another one from Port Allen.
I like the fact that you're being a part of the community in a way that you reach out so these people can have voices.
Well, I'm a really high alumni.
Okay.
And Port Allen's a rival of Bruley, but when they came here, I made sure to wear my blue tie and my Pelican socks.
That's sounds good.
Support Port Allen.
Well, like I said, supporting the people in your community. Let's see, 39 commit. We got 53. Now we're going to do another one here. 78 commends Deputy Christopher Hogan of the West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office on being the recipient of the Louisiana Sheriff's Association.
Yeah, this was that's a great thing for him. It's another sad situation. I don't know if you remember on Interstate and 415, there was, the map workers, DOTD map workers, the ones that pull over and help people
Right,
assist
exactly.
on the side of the road. One of the gentlemen actually pulled over on the side of the road to help a motorist. The motorist came out of the woods, attacked him, and was attacking him when Deputy Hogan pulled up, and he ended up eliminating the threat. But the map worker did not survive. So he was commended for doing his job, and sad situation. He got praised for it, and the map worker, passed away.
Here you got a state employee that's out doing, taking a job, risking his life for other people, and he doesn't get attacked, but he's the one who ends up being the victim.
Yeah.
Over here in the legislature, I've been asking him some funny questions. I've been asking them, these guys, if you look at the pictures on their legislative sites, some of the pictures I think need updating. I think the Senate side, y'all do a great job of keeping your pictures up to date. So if a bill came out of the House side that made all of the legislators update their pictures on the website on a regular basis, would you be in support of that over there?
I don't know. I'd have to talk to my colleagues, and I'd have to look at my picture. Mine might be a few years old as well.
And see if it works,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Well, any favorite legislation coming out, or any other final comments before we wrap up?
I've learned, this is my first full session.
Absolutely,
I'm the freshman senator, and I'm excited more about next year. I've learned so much this year on how the money works over here, learned how the bill process works as far as not dragging my feet on my bills and getting them forward.
Yeah.
That way I don't have to worry about it. But I'm excited. I already have in my notes in my phone 2024 bills and 2024 funding. So I already have started my list for next year.
If next year or your next term is as exciting as what you've been able to do this term, as a freshman, and the fact that you're listening and working with other organizations as you have been, there could be a lot of good things to come.
Yeah, the sky's the limit.
Senator Kleinpeter, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Everybody else, please, you're going to have some more interviews coming up here really soon. Please share this one, and you'll find the podcast on all podcast apps. Thank you so much.